everyone in town knew to avoid room 413 of the Hillview Guest House. It wasn't because of some gruesome murder or a tragic accident. No, the reason was far more unsettling. People who stayed in that room, they came back, changed. They'd returned to their lives, but something essential about them would be missing, replaced by a cold, distant. Of course, Armin didn't believe in any of it. As a travel vlogger, his entire brand was built on debunking so-called haunted places and exposing fake horror myths for what they were. Tourist traps. The room itself was disappointingly normal. Old, dark wooden furniture, a threadbare carpet, a single bed with a lumpy mattress, and a large mirror on the wall, its surface marred by a network of fine cracks. But the air felt heavy, stagnant, as if the last occupant had just walked out moments ago, leaving their silence behind. Armand did a quick sweep with his camera, narrating his initial, unimpressed thoughts. He set up a secondary camera on the dresser, pointing towards the bed, just in case anything spooky happened. He was about to dismiss it as the hotelless old plumbing when his phone buzzed in his hand with a different alert. It was a notification from his security camera app, the one he'd set up inside the room. The message read, "Motion detected inside your room." A cold dread washed over him. That was impossible. He was sitting perfectly still on the edge of the bed. He was completely, utterly alone. Or so he thought. His eyes darted around the room, searching for the source of the motion. Nothing. Everything was exactly as he'd left it. Then his gaze fell upon the cracked mirror. The reflection leaned forward, its face pressing against the inside of the glass. And its voice, a distorted, raspy echo of his own, whispered a single, terrifying sentence. "You finally came back." Armin stumbled backward, a strangled cry escaping his lips. At that exact moment, a new crack appeared on the mirror's surface, splintering out from the reflection's smiling mouth like a spider's web. Panic set in, but the vlogger in him took over. This was it. This was the proof. Shaking, he fumbled for his main camera, his phone, and hit record. Knock. Knock. It was louder this time, more insistent, demanding. A voice followed, and this time there was no mistaking it. It was his own voice, clear as day, coming from the other side of the door. "Armand, open the door." Cold sweat dripped down his face, stinging his eyes. He backed away from the door, his body screaming at him to run, but there was nowhere to go. He watched in pure horror as the brass doorknob began to turn, slowly, deliberately, on its own. With the last of his courage, he screamed, his voice raw with terror. "Who are you?" The voice on the other side of the door replied, its tone chillingly calm, devoid of any emotion. "I'm the one who stayed." And as the door began to creak open, Armand knew he was not facing a ghost. He was facing himself. As the door swung inward, the very walls of the room began to transform. Dark, crimson stains bloomed across the faded wallpaper, spreading like shadows and dripping down to the floor in thick, Bisco's reblets. The air grew thick with the coppery scent of old blood, and with the smell came the memories. Not his memories, but someone else's, flooding his mind like a broken dam. He remembered this hotel. He remembered the musty smell of the hallway, the weight of the key in his hand. He remembered coming here 3 years ago, a different man, broken and lost after a devastating personal tragedy. He remembered checking into this very room, not for a vlog, but to disappear. He remembered the profound loneliness, the unbearable pain, and a desperate, whispered wish to not have to face the world alone anymore. "No, please," he begged, his voice a fading echo. The double, his replacement, simply smiled, not a cruel smile, but one of placid acceptance. "You already agreed," it said. "You made the choice 3 years ago. You just forgot." The next morning, the receptionist looked up from her ledger as she heard footsteps on the stairs. It was Armin, looking refreshed and calm. He walked to the front desk and placed the key for room 413 on the counter. He smiled politely, a clean, simple smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Good morning," he said. That very night, a new guest, a tired businesswoman on a long road trip, checked into the Hillview guest house.